1.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Public Safety Work Session of Monday, October 21st, 2024. Today we have one topic on the agenda, and it's a briefing about Animal Services Program priorities. As we begin, I'd like to thank Logan Anbinder for preparing the staff report and for once again and always assembling a most informative packet for us. And just as a note, Councilmember Mink is virtual. And Councilmember Lukey is next to me, as you might note. And unless either of the committee members have anything to say, I'm going to ask. Go ahead.
No, that was a no.
Was that a no as well, Kristen? No. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. It was a no. I'm going to ask the panel to introduce themselves, and then ask Logan to lead us through the packet. So please, good morning. Carolyn. Yes.
Button or switch
or
something.
Trying to get myself
there you
here this morning. I'm Carolyn Herefield. I'm the Executive Director for Office of Animal Services. Beside me,
Bonnie White, Business Operations Manager.
Dr. Greg Lawrence, Chief Veterinarian.
First off, as we begin, thank you all for everything that you do. We know you never get enough thanks, and you deserve a lot. So, did you have any opening statement, or if not, we're going to ask Logan to lead us through.
Yes. So like I said, I'm the Executive Director. I started in March, and I bring to the office about 30 years of experience in animal welfare. And I did create a slide presentation that I sent to Logan ahead of time. And I just wanted to do a quick overview of, who we are and what Animal Services is about.
Teams is our Deputy Director.
You're going to need to touch the mic.
Is she on Teams? Okay.
And also on Teams is our Deputy Director, Lex.
Welcome.
LaPierre's.
Sorry, I didn't see her.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to first talk about, animal welfare is something that's near and dear to my heart. It's been a calling for me. And I think for most of the staff that work for me and our volunteers, we have nearly 600 volunteers that dedicate hours of their time for animals. But I just wanted to touch on, and I've got a lot of information in these slides, but I just wanted to touch on how important animals are just to society. They really teach children about compassion and empathy and responsibility. And studies are showing that families who have animals are more stable. And that animals really in families are becoming or believed to be a foundation block for a healthy society. And so I do believe that it's very important that communities like Montgomery County support their animal services programming. I'm going to do some highlights of some different areas that we have, one of which is our shelter. And animal care technicians are individuals that work within the shelter that are often, their position is misunderstood because they clean up after the animals. People think that that's all they do. But they actually are the backbone of our organization, and they play a very crucial role in ensuring, the humane care of our shelter animals. And just talk about humane care. Next slide, please. Sorry, I just realized I wasn't on the same page with him. It's very important that we have adequate space and proper nutrition and medical care. Mental stimulation is very important. A clean environment, behavioral training, stress reduction, and individual attention all play key roles in ensuring that we have very not only socialized but mentally stable individuals that are being adopted into our community from our animal shelter. Keep in mind that the animals that we house at OAS often are very sick, they're injured, and they're sometimes horribly cruelly treated. So we're not just feeding them and giving them 3 squares meals a day and a clean place to sleep. We are rehabilitating them physically, mentally, and sometimes spiritually in a lot of these cases. And so with the expectation that every animal life matters and that we should try to find a positive outcome in every case to become no kill, right? These factors have to be attended to. So not just cleaning and daily care of the animals, they monitor the health of the animals for us. They socialize and do enrichment with the animals. They help us with behavior support. They do an incredible amount of record keeping, and not to mention sanitizing and just general hygiene. And they are emotional support to the animals, which is something we don't hear very often. Usually it's the other way around. So something, since I've been here, that I've been kind of looking into, the ACAs, and this is why I'm highlighting them, do struggle, and you guys get a lot of letters from our volunteers in the community about the number of ACAs that we have and the type of care that they're getting, whether animals get out every day or enough times a day or in a timely manner. So I've been able to go back just to 2019 because we moved from the police department, so those records aren't as readily available to me. But the number of ACAs that in our staff has stayed stagnant. And so OCA, based on national standards and the numbers of animals that it can actually care for, we can care for about 4,340 animals. But as you can see from the graph, we're projected to actually be caring for around 5,584 animals this year, which is a pretty significant difference. And it creates what we call a capacity for care deficit, which I know that you had questions about. We operate at around 25 to 35% of a capacity of care deficit every day. That creates a high level of burnout in our staff. They're often working their days off, they're working overtime. Keep in mind that this is a very purpose-driven organization. The people who work here, we don't do it for the money, honestly, even though I think you guys pay very well, but we don't do that for the money. We're here because we really love animals and we're passionate about animals, and so they put themselves in danger all the time. I know that since I've been here, there's been a couple of different instances where people have been very seriously injured, because keep in mind, the animals that we are caring for sometimes are very, very dangerous animals that aren't mentally stable. So they can seem very okay right now and in 2 seconds turn sometimes, and we've had a few staff members that have been significantly injured and even permanently disabled. That's all symptomatic of the issue of staffing. That's one of the things. So one of our priorities that we're really pushing, that's near and dear to me, is leveraging technology. The County of Montgomery has a program called Chameleon that I'm very familiar with. It's very commonly used in animal control agencies, but often we don't use it to its fullest because it's sort of a complicated, very layered database that can become overwhelming. But the truth of the matter is, Chameleon is a pretty amazing piece of software that can really help us work more efficiently, so we start to work smarter, not harder. So in something I did in Minneapolis when I was there is we created what was called the Chameleon Control Group, and that created a super user from each area of our organization, and we took that organization with that control group from being one of the worst users in the country to the #1 user in the country. So it is important in leveraging your technology. We can really cut down on the wasteful time that sometimes we use running around with paper. So my goal is that within the next 12 to 24 months, OAS will be paperless.
I do think that's a neat slide where the dog is checking.
I stole a lot of photos.
Yeah.
So next slide, please. Let's talk about field services. This is one of our field officers out in the field, probably at a search warrant. But animal control officers, this is where it gets a little confusing for people, because they are frontline for not just picking up stray animals. They are frontline for the public health and safety of your community and how it relates to animals. 9 out of every 10 major disease that we face is an animal disease that humans can contract. They call them zoonosis or zoonotic diseases. Dr. Lawrence actually is an expert in zoonotic diseases. You employ him to help protect your community. We don't just deal with rabies. Let's think of bubonic plague. It's on the rise. That's an animal disease. COVID was an animal disease. Anthrax, and for those of us who are old enough, remember what happened in the 80s, is an animal disease. Animals are your canaries in your coal mine. When someone has a group of animals that have suddenly died or becoming very ill, they're not going to call the police, they call animal control. And it is our job to recognize that we're dealing with something like that, quarantine, and call in the experts that can then help us clean that up to protect the community. The other thing that these officers do, not only enforce regular laws that will help create a more livable environment for our community so that they can live safely with their pets, like leashing and rabies and licensing. They also investigate and enforce felony level crimes, including dog fighting, and in some cases that lead to fraud and racketeering. We often work with the DEA, we work with the federal government, we work with Homeland Security and other agencies to effectively do our work. It is very important work that they do, and I just want to make sure that we understand what they do. We have a robust veterinarian team that when I first started here was not so robust. We often had, it was Dr. Lawrence and 2 vets, and just a couple of vet techs, and maybe 1 or 2 veterinarian assistants. National standards say you should have 3 vet techs per vet. The board was very generous, the council was generous in giving us a position last year for an additional vet tech, and then we reallocated 3 more positions that were vacant positions and doubled his staffing. We're now operating nearly at in real time, meaning animals are getting sterilized within about 24 hours of when they were available to us to be sterilized. We're still building that team. We haven't hired them all, so we were able to do that without even hiring them all. We're hoping by January 1st that team will be fully full and fully trained, and our goal is that every animal is examined the day they come in, as they're coming in, to make sure that we're not bringing disease into the building and they're appropriately triaged, and that every animal's needs are being met. We also, our intentions are that with the $125,000 that was allocated to us, that we will start doing some community-facing sterilizations for low-income individuals in our community. So we're super excited about that. We're going to do a very soft rollout with that because we don't want to get completely overwhelmed. But it should go pretty good. We're excited. And I also wanted to highlight, I'm sorry, in this, if you notice, there's, since 2000, oops, I went backwards myself. Since 2000 and I believe I went back to 2020, there's been a significant increase in the number of procedures performed in-house, and this year we project they will perform at least 25,000 procedures in-house, which is pretty amazing. That's just the animals that we care for. That's not the community. You can go to the next slide. Community-facing programming, we've been moving positions around the last few months. I tend to look for efficiency, because we can do more with less that way. But as you know, pets play a very crucial role in our society, and it's important that we support our community. You know, we showed you the gap in care, the capacity of care. We can continue to throw money at ACAs, but the truth of the matter is our population is growing significantly year after year after year, and that's contributed to housing problems. Cost of veterinarian care is through the roof right now. They've almost priced themselves out of middle and low income families. Often people come to us having to surrender their pets because they've lost their home, they're moving into Section 8 housing, and they won't allow them to take their pets. That just should not happen. I can tell you in my career, especially in coming from a city where we did have a high number or high rate of homelessness, I cannot tell you how many people I have met in my career that are living on the street, not because they don't have a voucher for Section 8, or not because they don't have a job, and not because they have drugs. They're living on the street because they can't take their dogs with them, and they're living literally with their dogs on the street. For me, those are the people that shouldn't be left behind. And that's what this type of programming does. So with this, we do vaccine clinics once a week to help people have affordable health care for their pets. That's all vaccines. They did around, that's the next slide, I believe. Yeah, we did around, we're projecting around 1,800 vaccines this year to outside families or pets that don't belong to OAS, and we hope to expand that over time. Yeah, we're good. We talked about the sterilization clinic. So I kind of jumped ahead, but this is something that's near and dear to me. We need to turn the spigot off. And OAS is poised to really make an impact in the community, especially in our low-income communities. The average sterilization, my understanding, in Montgomery County is around $700 for a neuter. That means it even goes up from there. That's just incredibly insane. We can do that much cheaper at OAS. And we're also researching opportunities for grants and other ways of supporting this and partnering with our community as well. Sky's the limit on that. So OAS also has a pet resource center. I don't know if you knew that or not, but we do offer families food and other supplies. Anything that we have that we can offer to the community if they need it, we try to give it. They can just come in anytime we're open, and we keep our shelves as full as possible. That is completely run by donations, which is pretty amazing. The community really supports this, constantly bringing stuff in, and we certainly do appreciate it. So just short-term priorities that I'm personally working on is accountability and redundancy. I think it's very important when building programs that you're always looking at succession planning, and that there's lots of accountability. So if the head of the dragon gets cut off, who takes over, and so forth and so on. Animals should never get lost in the system. And that does happen at OAS right now. And that's something that we're really, really working on to improve so that our clients, which are the animals inside the shelter, are always provided with the best possible care that we can offer them. So again, exceptional customer service is a high priority. We're dedicated to providing exceptional customer service to both our internal and external customers. Our goal is that every individual or animal comes into our care or that works with us gets at the very least what they need. We may not always be able to give everybody what they want, but we certainly should always give them what they need. Again, we want to optimize our current staffing resources. As you can tell, I'm not afraid to move people around and move positions around. We're doing things like creating placement specialist positions so that we combine not just our foster coordinator and rescue, but we combine it with our adoption counselors and make one big team. So their entire mission is to get animals out of our building. The shorter time they're there, the more successful they'll be. Of course, securing future resources is a high priority. Optimizing our technology, and our foremost priority, of course, is to protect the health and safety of our community while we uphold the highest standards of care for the animals in our custody. So I just wanted to give you that highlight. There's a lot more that we do. I sent over our annual stats this morning. I'm sorry that they got here so late. But these are some of the measures that we look internally at to see that we're doing a good job and where can we improve. So the technology piece is a big part of that for me because I'm very data driven. I want to make sure that what goes into Chameleon, we can get good data out of Chameleon. So we're excited about that in the future. Lex, did you have anything out there on TV land that you would like to add? She's been tracking Maddie's Fund if you had questions about that as well.
Yeah, I'm prepared to speak about the Maddie's Fund updates when you guys are ready if you'd like to go over those. But I just want to emphasize the importance of the people that work at OAS. And Caroline mentioned that, we're working on optimizing our current staffing resources. But she also mentioned that we're securing future resources. So just keep that in mind that the people of OAS really make everything happen and we couldn't do what we do without them.
Okay. Well, I don't know if there's anything, do either the other people on the panel have anything to add on this topic? I think probably the best way to go would be to be efficient. Would be, Logan, if you could lead us through, and we'll get back to Maddie's Fund. Obviously, that's a major concern and a major thought for us. But is that all right with you? Yes?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Kristen as well? Okay. So go ahead, please, Logan.
Sure. Good morning. So the staff report largely captures some of the material that Director Harefield has shared previously. So I can just briefly highlight those and see if there's anything that you'd like to go into a larger discussion about. As she mentioned, previously in FY24, there was understaffing of the veterinary team, which resulted in service delays, and that has dramatically improved in efficiency due to the additional position that was funded by the council in FY25 and reallocation of positions. And again, I provided the graph that was in the OAS presentation. The low-cost vaccination clinics on page 2 of your packet also has a graph indicating increased vaccinations year over year. And then finally, just a reproduction of the material from the presentation on page 3 regarding the capacity for care as represented by the number of ACAs compared to the number of animals in custody. So that brings us to the potential discussion questions the committee may want to consider on the bottom of page 3. First, whether there's any additional questions the committee has surrounding the veterinary procedures, veterinary operations carried out by the team as a result of the funding of the additional position in FY25.
Thank you. I guess, and we'll, as we weave through this, if when we start talking about Maddie's fund, if there's something that we're going to be doing, but the annual report, any idea when we'll actually get it? It was, I guess, and we're not.
Which one?
For the one that was supposed to be in July?
From the board?
Yes.
Yes, we're working on that. There were some questions from the executive branch on that, and so I've got to get back with the board on that. That's held up with me, though.
Well, I appreciate that. Any idea, and not to hold you to a day, we don't do that.
Within the month, I can tell you for sure.
Say it again?
Within the month.
Within the month, okay. If you could please, we would like to see it, and it should be online for the public, et cetera, et cetera. The whole idea for spay and neuter, I think of all and we get a few emails, but of all the emails we get, it's about, many of them are about the spay and neuter program, and the question is when, how are you going to implement it? You're saying in January, I guess, but that's tomorrow almost when you're in government. How are you going to roll it out?
We will go to different neighborhoods that we know have a problem and start rolling out slowly through that. Part of it is building trust with your community and ensuring that they're willing to let us take their animals and do this type of work. We have a very, very small fund to use, so we are not going to be able to go out with news spots on this because we won't be able to do that many animals that will come our way. Even if we had the money, we wouldn't be able to do that. That's a tremendous amount of staff. So it will be very slow, and eventually it will probably be some. Right now we have a bookings type page where people can go on and actually book appointments. We envision that there will be a few appointments available each week, and that's how we're going to roll it out. So it's not
the whole idea for the disadvantaged and communities. How do you know that those are the disadvantaged communities, and how are you going to go about it?
Well, we use the zip code method, right? In communities where we have a tremendous amount of unsterilized pets, and we do know where the unsterilized pets are. We work with them every day. And how do we know? And it is uncomfortable, right? We don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. And we're still working out a lot of details, but to me, if you're able to get other types of benefits, then you should be qualified for this program. Eventually, I would love to see the program where it doesn't matter who you are, right? Because some of the worst offenders have been people of means that I've met in my career. And they're just too cheap to go to the vet and get their dog sterilized.
And we used to, but in many cases, they have other priorities and they don't use them the same way.
Well, that's but seriously, I would love to see it so that anybody could get this. We have talked to different organizations because there is a voucher program in the community. There is a mobile clinic that they're working on in the community that will be able to help us with feral cats. We actually are working on a contract with them to allow them to park at OAS. And I think it's a good idea to utilize all of those programs. So we've talked about doing a mutual grant opportunity, because I think that would go over a lot better with some of these bigger organizations that offer grants for sterilization. So it's a process, and it's that's one of the other reasons we want to do a slow rollout is we have a lot of kinks to work out. We don't have all the answers for you, but we know that we will be able to sterilize probably more than we've said we could, but we don't want to overoffer, but at least a few a week.
Old story, overachieved sounds good. The facilities, I just saw Dave Dice and Greg Ossington on another topic, literally within the hour. But I know that there's systemic issues in your building in a variety of ways, HVAC, whatever. Dave did tell me directly that they're aware of it, they're working on it, they're going to be doing. I know that the maintenance of whether it be, and I see one of your volunteers in the room, who's in the room many times, who has let us know about the maintenance of the facility on the outside, even not the lighting, the hedges, and they're aware of it, and they're going to continue to work on it. But we need to come up with almost a systemic way for them to be letting the public know that they're aware, and not just letting them know they're aware, but actually correcting it, and a timeline for that as well.
So we have recently, or DGS has created some kind of programming where they can track things better. I can say, there is a systemic problem, and I mean, I've gone through a lot since in the short time I've been here with our facility, but things have gotten a lot better. They're really trying to stay on top of it. I know my staff are on top of it. As far as lighting in the outside, they've added a significant number of lights out in the dog walking area. The fence is still an issue. They're working through park system because the problem is that that's growing from somebody else's property onto our property, and rather than just cut it back and then have to do it in 2 weeks again, I think that's a waste of money that we don't have. So we're working with the park system to try to get that cleared from the other side so it doesn't grow back on the fence at all. And all I can tell you is that DGS is really stepping up and trying to get the building under control. I know that there's been talk about bringing in an engineer to kind of do a full evaluation of the mechanicals in the building. So, and I'm hoping that will be done.
Well, and for the whole thing with the Park Service, and I understand it's it's coordination, but if you could copy us on, not that we have a magic wand, if we did, it would have gotten, and not that they have a magic wand, but if you would copy us on those type of concerns, at least we can also track it, and we can, maybe whisper in somebody's ear every now and then to try to move this along a little faster. I think everybody is of the opinion, knows this, that this is a very, very important facility, not to say the others aren't, but that this is a very, very important facility to all of us, and we want to make certain that it continues to be, or can get back to be where it should be. Last one I have is about the animal care attendants, and they have a very tough job. We're most appreciative of your volunteers, or those who volunteer, but essential positions in the county. There's a listing of open vacancies, and can these positions, are they being consistently and continuously advertised? How is that working?
So we are believe it or not, at full staff.
Good.
At OAS. And we have had some staffing issues, but we're working through that. And we have 3 new people that have started, and that puts us, other than one person that's out on long-term disability, that puts us at full staff right now.
Okay.
But we are, I mean, we're caring for 450 animals right now. So,
450, was that the number?
yeah.
Well,
And some of it was just not in our control. We had a seizure with a hoarding case that we brought in 115 animals in one day. So it can be a little bit overwhelming at times, and this is one of those moments.
did you?
So, thank you, and thank you for highlighting some of the work that our animal control officers have to do, and oftentimes they're called to a scene where there may have been a call for some other reason, and the issues surrounding animals that are in the home or property are secondary to the thing that triggered the call in the first place, and yet present a large scope problem of their own, as you just mentioned. You have no idea when those situations are going to arise. You referenced issues with prohibitions related to keeping pets in Section 8 housing, and I wanted to dive into that a little bit because HUD specifically prohibits that. And I don't mean prohibits the having of pets. It actually says you can't prohibit them from having the pets. And so I'm trying to discern where the problem is coming from, because I'm reading from HUD's guidebook on this, and it says that HUD permits tenants in general occupancy developments to own or have one or more pets in their units, subject to the Public Housing Authority's reasonable requirements and the tenant meeting specific obligations as outlined in their plan, related emissions, and continued occupancy policy. So they have to maintain the pet responsibly in accordance with relevant state and local public health, animal control, and anti-cruelty laws, which we all want to get behind. And in accordance with the policies established in the Public Housing Authority's annual plan. And of course, there's separate rules related to individuals with disabilities or our elderly, which are, you can't discriminate against them and you must allow them to have their pets. So I'm trying to figure out where, so we could try and fix this, because that is a significant issue.
It is a significant issue, and what generally happens is there's a 20-pound limit on a lot of these animals, and that's how a lot of landlords in general get around pet policies. So if you had a 25-pound cat, which I know it sounds crazy, but I had a 30-pound cat.
Happen.
I mean, it happens. Essentially, you wouldn't be able to have your cat. I mean, a 20-pound dog is a very small dog. So people who have, Labradors, Golden Retrievers, Pit Bulls are very common. They can't keep their pets.
Okay, so.
And that's usually who you see on the street.
Okay, so, but like in terms of working with our local county's public housing authority.
I haven't dug into it yet.
Okay.
I just know that that's the #1 reason that people surrender their pets.
Okay, and I'd be happy to help work on that with you all, but I do feel like there is something there if there's a disconnect, and we need to figure out how we can be doing better, because again, we don't want people to be unhoused. We don't want pets to be unhoused. We want people to be housed, and the Public Housing Authority is supposed
And
to
it may
be
not
doing that work.
all be them. Let me back up
Correct.
a little bit.
Fully.
It may not be completely them. That's just been my experience. But housing is an issue, and affordable housing that will allow you to keep your pets is a huge issue, not just in Montgomery County, but all over. And we see it as well.
Okay. And shifting back to the animal-borne illnesses and issues, and of course the shelter had the canine influenza. And God bless you all for all that you did to manage that. That was an incredible challenge. But I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the lessons learned from having come through that experience, since I know you were highlighting a lot of that during our budget.
Yeah, we've learned a lot of lessons. I'd like to bring Spencer up if he could, because he's our shelter manager. I think he was really, and Dr. Lawrence as well, were instrumental in this. CIV is kind of like COVID. We just have to live with it. It's here. It's not going away. It was unfortunate and probably one of our biggest nightmares that it actually got into our building. But we did learn a lot. We certainly learned at OAS to partner with our community to help us care for these animals. Our volunteers were just amazing in this. We learned about mitigating the animals that come into the facility and community offering community-facing services to help keep animals out of our building, because initially that's kind of how we were having to deal with things. We learned a ton of different things. Spencer, did you want to share? Sorry to put you on the spot, buddy.
Okay.
Welcome.
Spencer Kelly, Shelter Operations Manager. So I'll break it down into a couple of things of what we learned from canine influenza. There were some key things to take away. We actually talked through the process and afterwards, like after action, Dr. Lawrence and I, with some of the top like shelter medicine universities on what we can do, because this will happen again. An open admission shelter, we take in anything that walks through the front door, unknown vaccine history, they're coming. Couple things that we highlighted is once we have sick animals, because we know we are going to have them, isolate is the number one thing. Our shelter, despite how big and beautiful it is from the outside and on the inside a little bit, has its limitations, and we aren't specifically equipped to isolate everything that comes in, but we have since created. We kind of don't want to go through this again, maybe not to this large scale. So we now have a smaller isolation space. And our second, on to some of the other topics that have been on here, is vaccinating animals. That is our pretty much, maybe not number one, but one of our greatest protectors of preventing this from spreading. Vaccinating animals upon intake, which is getting our veterinary team up to speed to be able to do exams on every animal, being able to recognize signs. Again, going back to isolating, as soon as you see signs of an illness, pulling those animals and isolating them so it doesn't spread. We don't have to wait for them to get into the kennels where your animal care attendants or your volunteers are. Recognizing them, can we recognize them from the onset during these exams? And then vaccinations, even within hours. One thing we've strived, and we're not really set up to do with the way our total staffing is and the way our staffing is being allocated as we keep trying to move things around, is vaccinating animals within hours of coming into the shelter makes a huge difference. So something we're really striving, where we have been maybe waiting 24 hours, 48 hours for that animal to see if it goes home, let it calm down and relax a little bit. But no, vaccinate them right away, because that'll be our biggest protector. And then this is why probably the number one is get them out of the shelter. We're meant to be a short-term stay, so work to get them out. How can we prevent them from coming in the shelter? Caroline highlighted community resources to and with this housing conversation, how can we keep pets in their homes? Those are animals that could potentially expose our shelter. We don't have to worry about them if they're not even in our shelter, and then the shorter they're in our shelter, the less risks to our animals in the shelter and in the community.
Thank you. And yes, after the discussion about it during the budget hearing, I promptly made a call to the vet and took both my dogs to get their canine influenza vaccine immediately. So I appreciate your efforts. And to your point, Spencer, about trying to make sure they're not coming in the first place. What do you think, in the post-influenza, now that you've had that and you had your after-action discussion, what additional strategies are you putting into place, or that we could try to help mitigate more coming into the shelter, since your numbers keep going up, and I know you're doing your best?
Yeah, we are doing our best. They're going up despite what we're doing, which
Right.
says a lot, because, for example, cats. And I know cats are a super hot topic, but often people pick up what they think is
Felines, yeah. I'm a cat, but anyhow, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
He can't resist it.
I know, I fell right into it
You
last time,
if
too.
you throw a pitch up, I gotta hit it.
So, but felines, people they catnap them. Had to go there. So, and they bring them to us. And the sad reality is when cats come into a shelter, they're like less than 1 or 2% likely to actually get home.
Yeah.
If you just leave them alone, cats will get home.
Yes.
I think we had that conversation
We did.
last time too, and
They're smart.
They really are smart. Yeah, we can just keep going. So that's one thing is limit your cats coming to the community. Get on board with TNR. You know, that's how we're gonna, I know a lot of your wildlife groups they're not fond of cats, and that's understandable. But the reality is they're here, and the alternative is not humane. So if we as a community can get involved with TNR, that will stop the cats from breeding, and eventually these populations will dwindle. Sterilizing owned cats that come into the shelter, and mandatory sterilization for owned cats that get picked up as strays and that come into the shelter before they can go home when the owner is found. That's not something we can necessarily do right now, but it's something we could consider, and we've talked about.
Yeah.
I personally think that's a very good idea, because if you're allowing your unsterilized cat to roam, then you're actually the problem. So we should fix that. Same with dogs. If dogs are unsterilized and roaming, even though they shouldn't be roaming at all, you're definitely the problem. We should fix them if they come into the shelter. So there are things that we've talked about doing or working towards, I think, as a community to do. They just take time and resources and to get it done, and bodies. We need people to do that. So
Thank you.
Councilmember Mink, I don't see you, but I know you're there. So
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
I can hear you. Anyhow, did you have some questions?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks very much to everyone who's doing a lot of diligent work at our shelter system. It's been great to visit multiple times, sometimes with council folks, and sometimes with my kids to pick up adopt a pet. And it's much appreciated. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the positions that were requested during budget, and I know that obviously we had a tight budget session for everyone, and you all are making do and repurposing and all that. But I just wanted to get clarity on where you're at now and what you might be thinking about for the upcoming budget session. So I'm looking at the list of requested positions from this past budget, and just wanted to hear about what you're doing with that position now, if there's a pause on that, or if you've repurposed a vacancy, or how you're adapting. So I'll just actually, I'll just skim through these right now. So there's the pooled ACA position to expedite the hiring of critical personnel. There's the new vet tech, which you're moving forward with. There's a foster coordinator, and I know that one was a really, really high priority, and we've talked today about the importance of making sure that we are getting those animals out quickly. And then there's the funding for the spay and neuter program, which you all needed $250K for that, in order to have both the equipment and the personnel. We funded half of that at $125K. Now I know that we're about halfway through the fiscal year in terms of launch date, so maybe that's how that works out, but I just wanted to see how you're balancing those pieces.
So, the executive office did request most of those positions, and some, but the only thing that was funded last year was the RVT, the registered vet technician, and the $125,000. We're reallocating as we can, but we're actually mostly at full staff, so it's kind of hard, to completely reallocate. And the staffing that we have is the staffing that we need. So, for example, to get him the extra vet techs, we stole from our dispatch office, who happened to have a couple of vacancies. And dispatch is important. The 911 center is always overwhelmed. So when we're not able to operate, our phone lines roll to them, and it just compounds the problem. So the reality is that we can reallocate, and we will, because I want to keep my staff safe. But to do so, I'm as I said in the last meeting, we're basically stealing from Peter to pay Paul, and so we will need to secure positions over time. Now, I have the utmost faith in the executive office that they will support us as they did in the last budget, and work through. I mean, there's a lot of departments. We all know the truth is there's a lot of departments that need help. So this is a process. It's a journey that we're all on, and in the meantime, we're the executive leadership team at OAS is constantly looking at how can we better utilize what we have so that we can get our work done and again provide the best care. And that may mean combining teams so that we can work more efficiently, work smarter, not harder kind of thing, leveraging technology that we already have and using it better so that every second counts so that we can save time and actually be able to do more. So that's kind of how we're approaching things.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's an important conversation for us to have. Just as a preview here, we were just talking, obviously, in this same committee about the struggles that our dispatchers in the ECC, in the 911 call center face, and how really kind of low-hanging fruit for trying to help alleviate that is to fully fund to the best of our ability folks on the animal services side on dispatch. We really need to be getting to a place where there's 24/7 availability. So increasing that capacity as opposed to decreasing it. And, that's a very clear area where the impact on our funding to OAS impacts, in other departments very directly. So, I would like for that to be a high priority for us as we look ahead. And the foster coordinator position is another one. Being able to fund that position without robbing Peter, I think that's a big one too, where we're looking at places where we get a lot of bang for our buck, and when we aren't getting those animals out quickly, where we have those other impacts, and when we can get those animals out quickly, then that alleviates the strain, including in a fiscal sense, in other areas. So in terms of bang for our buck, I remember you talking about during budget session how that was a really high priority one, and obviously we don't want to see you having to take from other places in a way that's going to have a negative impact in order to fill those key roles. So thank you for that piece. We've also talked about some of the potential changes to county code, and those are some conversations that we've been continuing to move internally there. But I wanted to give you the opportunity, if there's any, we talked about the 5-day and 3-day holds, and so that is a conversation that's going to be coming to the forefront soon. But I wondered if there are any other of the county code possible legislative updates that we've talked about previously that you wanted to have an opportunity to highlight for us today.
Not today, but I have had a chance to work on I've had a lot going on, so that's something I haven't gotten my arms around, but the little bit that I have worked on, there are things in the code that I would like to improve upon in the future, but that 5-day to 3-day is, I think, urgently needed, and that's going to impact several different areas within the ordinances as well.
Great.
I know we
and I
just
want
had
to
a
thank
meeting about
Chair Katz for his leadership on moving that forward. All right, thanks very much. I yield.
Thank you. I would like to turn to Lex. She was on this screen. Our screens seem to jump around on us, but the Deputy Director, and you were going to talk to us about Maddie's Fund?
Yes. What I wanted to highlight today was primarily that we got a lot of recommendations from the Maddie's Fund report. There are big recommendations, small recommendations, and I want to let you know that since getting the report, we've been able to enact more than 40 of those recommendations.
Good for you.
I'll just run through some highlights really quickly. It's not an inclusive list, but it has quite a few. We're performing adoptions 7 days a week now. We were able to initiate a daily rounds team, which happens 5 days a week, where the shelter staff walk around observing the animals to monitor for signs of illness, to make sure nobody falls through the cracks in terms of their flow through the shelter processes. We were able to start making more animals available sooner, such as animals on stray hold. We were able to portalize some cages in our cat holding area to give our cats larger enclosures. We replaced formal behavior assessments with the recording of key behaviors instead. We have been making efforts to hold play groups with our canines. We've allowed volunteers access to additional areas of the building to walk dogs for their mental well-being and physical well-being. We've placed greater emphasis on in-field return to owners to prevent animals from coming to the shelter in the first place. We've discontinued adoption appointments, and we have done reclasses for the vet suite as previously mentioned. And then we also have a foster on deck system implemented to get animals into foster care faster than we previously could before. That's what we've completed. And then for the future, some things that we're looking at, the changes are ongoing, but some highlights are volunteers acting as adoption ambassadors. We can't do what we do without our volunteers. And if we can have them front and center to promote our animals, that is going to be great for OAS and the animals that we care for. We mentioned partnering with a mobile spay-neuter clinic through FMCA for feral cats. We have soft launched the Friendly Finder Foster program, where people who find animals can foster them pretty much immediately. Again, this is to prevent animals from coming into the shelter. We are continuing to put play groups into play, and that's just a work in progress. We're going to continue to focus on that. We're going to be requesting 3 new ACA positions, and then of course our community spay and neuter efforts.
Very, very good. Thank you. And I think everyone has touched on this, but many times we're the enemy on this 24 hours a day dispatch. I mean, it was about funding, and we're seeing that that when we've had the discussions about the 911 calls, I mean, obviously they too are getting these, and in some cases they're could easily go to the 301-279-8000. They could go to 311. They could do all these others, but when someone is concerned, the first thing they think about is 911. And that's the reality of what we all need to be dealing with. So we have to figure out a better way to do that. And we know that in your case, that there are people that literally 24 hours a day find an animal and get concerned. So we know that budgets are coming up. Please, we need to. And I don't know, Logan, whether or not we're going to have other discussions this year prior to the budget. How is this on our schedule?
Currently, to my knowledge, this is the only animal services item that's scheduled prior to budget. There could be another opportunity.
Well, I think maybe once we get the report, that might be another opportunity for us to have a good discussion to figure out what we have and what we haven't. And I mean, obviously, you've made great progress for the Maddie's Fund, but what's the next? If you had the magic wand, and you do not, but if you had the magic wand, what would be the next things we would be doing?
So what I'm running into, there are a lot of issues at OAS. Transparency is important, right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing that you don't already know. And so kind of the best way I can describe what I have been dealing with and what my team has been dealing with is it's sort of a lot of clogged pipes, and we're working through the system, and we get one pipe unclogged, right? And then we find the other pipe that's not the problem. Well, it is the problem, but now we've got this problem, and we're sort of working through that right now, and it's a process. As I mentioned before, putting the players in the right seats, moving people around and getting everybody in the right seat is really, really important. Reutilizing our adoption counselors as a team with the foster coordinator and using them as placement coordinators rather than worrying whether it's foster, rescue, or adoption. It doesn't matter where they go. Get them out of the building is a better use of our resources. That's kind of where we're at right now with OAS, and dispatch is an issue at OAS, but even with the 2 positions that we borrowed, let's just say, they couldn't operate more than 5 days. I mean, it just,
Well, we understand.
right. So it was kind of one of those things where to make us 24/7 would be a significant lift for the county. And we have other areas where we have animals that are in our care. You know, we're entrusted to provide humane care to the animals, to actually get to a call out there in the community when there's an emergency. And if we're falling down on those services, I feel personally that needs to be our first priority. But it is something down the road that, you know, we need to look at and make a decision how you want us to do this.
Well, to your point earlier, so many different departments intermingle with yours, whether you want them to or not, and whether they want to or not. And so we need to make sure how we can be more efficient as we possibly can be. And that's always a challenge. I mean, you know, you're a busy place, and we have a lot of animals in Montgomery County, and we're glad we do, but you're a busy place.
Very busy.
Anything else? No? Well, thank you all again for everything you do. I know that you never hear enough thanks, and I want to thank your volunteers, you know, very publicly. I know that you know that what they do, but the public doesn't. They take it for granted. Everything gets done by magic, and that's not fair. But we thank them for everything they do as well. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you. Do they call you Big? How are you? How are you? Good to see you.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
His real name is not Big Bruno.
That's
I know that.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay. Nice.
Is it that long?
Thank you.
Good for you.